That's not our vibe. Welcome to the Elemental Tea.
Hi, welcome back, witches, to episode 5 of the Elemental Tea. Today, we are going to be talking about boundaries and the Strength card as well in tarot. And I think this topic was very timely for all of us and the world in general, I think, too. Um, if I was like super obnoxious, I think I'd have like the tea kettle tweet sound because I'm like, ooh, this is a good topic for this time of the year and for um for this time currently and for when we will be releasing this episode too. So for me, in terms of boundaries, so we're like approaching that time of the year where the summer is like tipping and going into fall. And so it's like a perfect time for conserving energy and kind of like that harvesting like vibe and what is good to release, what's good to bring in and have for the coming time. So something that I normally find, we were talking about this a little bit ago, that with boundaries, it's like this is a good time to start saying the no's. Like, I have my boundaries, no, thank you, no to this, full body no to that. But for me, this year, in the last couple of months, especially, I have found there are boundaries for me that bring in saying yes to things. So, saying yes to things like rest and repair and recovery and um, more like calming kind of vibes for me. So, for we just released not too long ago episode 4, and I was going back and watching it, and I pulled the death card. And after looking back, I was like, oh, this, it's so liminal and all this stuff. And then I happened to have a huge liminal experience just like a couple weeks after that. And a lot of like health things kind of came up, and they very, very quickly like pushed me into needing to work on my own personal boundaries for my nervous system, and just like health and recovery in general, and then energetically, magically, and then during the same time, even like with uh, parenting and energetic boundaries as well. So I really found that things like using rest and recovery as an example is something that I've learned to have to say yes to with my nervous system recovering from some hospital visits the last month in June. And it's like, I don't really have the choice to say yes or no, really, to like resting and trying to recover. And I am at the point where I'm like, yes to allowing myself the rest. I really have to if I want to get better and have this boundary for myself. Um, so it's just been a very eye-opening experience for me because I feel like boundaries is something that I've kind of visit all the time. Like, I think at the beginning of every year and going into the fall, it's something I always want to look into and make sure I have in place for myself. But this year um, was a completely different experience for me with boundaries. So just wondering for all of you, I wrote down like a question, like either what are you harvesting because of a boundary you put in place this year, or if that isn't like something that is so long ago for this year, what's something that you've had to kind of put in place for you or strengthen lately? Because like for me, I had to strengthen the ability to say yes to things for myself, for my boundaries. So just curious what you guys' thoughts are.
I have a lot of thoughts about this. So I guess I'll jump in. um, yeah, your boundaries were tested in a huge way. I think like right away, I was like, oh no. Um, Similarly, I had, some health stuff and that I'm still recovering from. I had a surgery a couple of weeks ago. And I had to have boundaries with myself because I wanted to do things. I wanted to be productive. I wanted to walk. I wanted to be active, and I couldn't. And I think, in fact, like the first few days after the surgery, like the day I came home, I was in a lot of pain, but like after that, it wasn't too bad for a few days. And so, like, I think I overdid it because I'm like, I'm feeling good. And I forgot like you're supposed to walk like in little like 5, 10, 15-minute bursts, not like, we walked around like a couple of parks near the neighborhood, instead of like just a
Yeah.
short burst. And then I think it just like knocked me on my ass because I was like, oh shit, I overdid it. And I think that's part of why I had like my little crisis or whatever, because it was just like trying to do too much. And I would say like the first week, I felt like I was going to crawl out of my skin because I didn't have like my brain was foggy or whatever, and so I couldn't like I wanted to write, I wanted to create some art, I wanted to work on some projects for, the union, I wanted to do this, that, and the other thing. And then like this other group that I am involved in, that's like it's not like just one union, it's like across unions and agencies. We had like an action against ICE, which I didn't go to in person because that would have been crazy talk, but at the state I was in. But
Yeah.
I mean, I was behind the scenes doing a lot of stuff because I felt like I needed to be useful. And but in all honesty, like even though I was doing things, I feel like with this group, um I learned my lessons from like my actual union and like burning out, like doing union stuff and doing stuff in that group that we were in, and just like killing myself to do all these things. And especially in the union, like feeling like I had to pick up the slack if other people like didn't show up, And first of all, I think like this other group is a lot more functional. And secondly, I have like really stopped myself from jumping at every opportunity to do something. Like anytime they ask for a volunteer, anytime they ask for somebody to do something, I have stopped myself. And it's interesting because like at one point I used my work's employee assistance program. And so I had like this counselor that I saw like 3 times, because that's all they give you. But one thing that she had me do, which was super helpful, was like, imagine like this thing that somebody's asking you to do, or somebody's asking somebody to do, like, oh, do we have any volunteers? Picture it like a book, like laying on a table, and see yourself like leaning towards it, and then see yourself backing away from it and letting somebody else pick it up.
Mm.
And I've really been putting that into practice with this new group because it's like they're pretty functional. They don't, and not only that, even if they weren't functional, like it's not my job to make them functional, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
my job to run in and save people, or to, twist myself into knots trying to be everywhere and do everything. And those were big lessons I learned in, the union that I'm in. Like I really stepped back a lot from my duties. Um, and I'm not going to rerun for my position that I'm in right now. I am running for another lesser position, but if I don't get it, I'm actually going to be fine with that. But
Mm.
that being said, like I still want to be involved, but I realize like I don't have to do everything. Like sometimes like I can just let things not get done. Like it's not my responsibility to pick up the slack
Yeah.
and do everything. So yeah, I think like that, and like you were saying, Nishida, too, like for me, like this has been a big lesson in asking for what I want because I have not been able to do things for myself. Like
Oh,
I need somebody to like babysit me while I take a shower in case I pass out. And I need somebody to walk around the block with me. And I need somebody to, make my food and,
yeah.
pick things up off the floor for me. And you know what I mean? And it's just like, and I'm such an independent person that's been really hard. But I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable with it now than I was even like a week ago.
Yeah.
And it really helps that I have like a supportive partner and kid too. Like I have it easy. I have to say, they want to help me like that. I think they're both actually like really happy that I'm asking, because I'm such a stubborn Taurus that I don't want, and I'm an Aquarius rising and I'm a Sagittarius moon. So it's like, I just want to like do everything by myself.
Yeah.
And they're just really happy that they get to take care of me and do something for me. And that's something that I have to remember too. Like when I'm setting the boundary or, it's like, oh, I can have this boundary be somewhat permeable. Like I don't have to have this rigid I am an island, like
Right.
the Simon and Garfunkel song, I'm a rock, I'm an island. We actually played that at my dad's funeral because like he was very much like me, very like outgoing, had friends or whatever, but he like thought of himself as this very like stoic, independent person.
Mm.
And so yeah, we played that. And I'm like, shit, I'm just like him. I'm so like him, you know. So that's been a big lesson too. That yes, what do I want? That's part of boundaries, right? Like, what do I want and what do I not want? And what's in line with my values?
Yes.
Like boundaries, I think, arise from
There's
values. You have
that.
to be clear about your values to
Yeah.
set your boundaries. You can't just, I don't know. I mean, it's like I thought to myself, like, I want to be more connected to people. And so, you know, I'm sitting here scrolling on my phone thinking this is connection, like, and it is to some degree, but it's not real connection, like, I mean, I don't want to say that online connections aren't real because look at us, right? Like,
Right.
but this social media, like posting things on Blue Sky, like, I mean, these people are cool, they seem fine, they're awesome, and I've met a couple of them in person, at conferences or whatever witchy things, but it's like I making myself put down the phone and like write letters to people. Like I write a letter a week to somebody. So
Oh,
look out for letters, y'all.
love that.
um,
Oh.
because yeah, I mean, it's just like I just feel like authentic connection is really hard in our society. So
Mhm.
yeah, and boundaries are part of that. Like boundaries allow for connection, and people I think see them as like a fortress wall, but they're not a fortress wall. Like they're like a chain link fence. You know what I mean? Like,
That's such a good way to put it.
right.
Yeah.
I feel like I can piggyback off of that, Nay, because I think everything that you said, I was like, yeah, 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 like really resonating. Especially what you were saying about connection, which is something that I'm trying to challenge myself to do is, like you said, online connections can be very genuine. I think we got very lucky with our group. We
Hmm.
also went through a lot of trauma together, to be fair. So we got really close. But I do feel like there is a part of me there's something that's missing. And I've been challenging myself to go to more community focused events. But even then, I have found that that has been challenging because I think, and this is where the boundaries sort of comes in for me, is like my sense of safety. Like I feel like this whole summer I have been processing a lot of collective grief,
Mm.
and it's brought up in me so much fear and so much disempowerment. And like I love to travel. I love traveling. I especially love getting out of the country and seeing new places. And we have a trip coming up, and like pretty much the entire year I've been kind of avoiding it and like not looking forward to it. And May actually led us in a really lovely summer solstice ritual that I
Yeah.
think really helped kind of empower me to let go of some of that fear. And I finally was able to kind of like set some boundaries with myself and was like, hey, like let's sit down with this fear. Like what is it teaching me? Why are you, holding me captive? And I realized that a lot of what I've been learning is that I resonate with you, May, and that I'm just taking on too much of the responsibility to feel like I need to fix something. Like I'm like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do this. Like I have to speak for the people and I have to get out on the streets and I have to do all these things. But then it's like also feeling afraid, right? Because you're also kind of the targeted audience, so to speak.
Yes.
And then really getting also angry. Like I didn't know there was anger there, but there was also anger because I'm also like, where the fuck are my friends? Like, like not y'all specifically, but like people in my life, especially my parents. And that's been the most difficult because when I've tried to like talk about these things with them, there's a lot of like gaslighting involved, or maybe it's even fear, like that they're just kind of putting up a front of like, we'll deal with it when it happens down the road. You're kind of overreacting. And it's felt really lonely in that I feel like I'm screaming in a room full of people that aren't listening to me.
Cassandra.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm realizing now that like I put too much responsibility on my shoulders. First of all, I can't fix this. And that's rolled into my individual relationships with some of my friendships as well, where it's like I've then put that energy into trying to fix their problems. And then I'm like, oh shit, I need to mind my own business. Like I'm learning other people's boundaries as well of like, I can't fix everything. I can only work on myself. And so I've been trying to set more boundaries with myself of like, okay, what can we do today, Veronica? And it's like, oh, well, you have some people in your life that are kind of having difficult times. Let's send some Reiki there. Or let's light a candle for a friend who's having difficulty. I started praying again. Like I know that has been something I think for me individually has been difficult getting back into, but I was just like, I'm just gonna start praying again because that at least gives me a little bit of comfort knowing that I'm trying to do something, like lighting a candle, saying a simple prayer. Please watch over my friend, to whomever your divine, however you connect to the divine, essentially. But it's brought me a lot of comfort and strength, internal strength, in kind of taking that pressure off of myself, putting the armor down and just saying, this is what I can do today, and that is okay. I'm not less than because of that. And I think a lot of that just comes from trauma, like childhood trauma, kind of being parentified. That's okay. We show up, we wake up, we make our tea, we make our coffee. And if that's the best that we can do for the day, then that to me is all we have to do. And so yeah, those are my boundaries this year. That's the strength that I'm learning.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And I think too, there's something to be said for like knowing what's yours and what's not yours.
Yes.
Like this is not my fear to carry, or this is not my anger to carry. Like I have some of this fear. Some of this fear is mine, but not this whole weight of this fear. And then too, like, like when I think about codependency, like I feel like is kind of an evolving term, an idea. But it's like something that blew my mind when I started kind of looking into that is that when you like rush in to rescue somebody, what you're saying is you're not capable of handling your own problems too. Like, and so there's something to be said for like as hard as it is to let somebody fail or to let somebody like take care of it the way they want to take care of it.
Right.
It's really hard. I'm really bad about that. I am the
hard.
regent of unsolicited advice. But yeah, like with my kid is so much like me. He's not even my biological kid, but he somehow is. And like I'll tell him something or I'll give him some kind of like life advice, and it's like he's a Leo Virgo cusp. He just digs his heels in, and I'm just like, okay, you're going to be like me, and you're just going to have to learn through the FAFO school, I guess, like, and maybe, I don't know, sometimes I just like, I want to save him, because it's like, I've done this, dummy. Like, that's how I know. It's like,
Just gonna grab him and be like, let me.
right.
But it's crazy though, because my
Like,
mom used to do that to me as a kid, and I think I have become sort of like her, and it pisses me off.
yeah, no, my dad was the same way. My dad would be like, oh, I guess I'm just the dumb old dad. I don't know anything or whatever. Yeah. But yeah. I was literally like, okay, go ahead and take statistics and calc 1 at the same time. Have fun with that. Like,
I had a really like heart-to-heart conversation with me too, and I was like, why do you do this? Why? Because you go through these shadowy thoughts of like, God, I'm the worst, and it's like it's hard not to get there. But then it was like, it's because I love people. Like it really comes down to like love. Like when you love a person, you just want to see them do the right thing. Or same thing with just like as a collective, I'm like, I love people, and
yeah.
And there are other ways that I can kind of put that energy towards things. And it could just be showing up to a community event and contributing in some way. And like that is a huge, you sharing your energy, showing up to things when you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also trying to stop thinking of things in terms of convenience, because like it's so easy to be like, oh, well, it's just easier to like do this thing online. They have like an online class, and it's like, no, like challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone, go in person, because it's those human connections, like are so much more empowering. And so
yeah,
it's been really challenging as an introvert, but I'm trying.
Where the strength part comes in,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was going to say sometimes the biggest fight is with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, as like so much of what you're all saying, I totally feel that. I feel like we've all been going through this similar experiences, but in different ways. But for me, like the boundaries and the yes and the all that stuff, and like what May and Veronica was saying, like for me, how that is coming off is I have to like right now, like I have my in-laws back. They're usually in Japan. And I have this horrible habit of people pleasing, especially people I feel responsible for, like family members, loved ones, friends, like I just get a little neurotic about it. But also I feel like I'm responsible for their emotions. I'm responsible for their happiness. I'm responsible whether their day is going well. Like, why the fuck is that a thing? And like I was just talking to all of you earlier, how I started getting a migraine. And it's because of, you have like childhood trauma and you learn to pick up on the subtleties of like, oops, someone's not happy. And they could be totally normal, but you can pick up on the subtle. And I instantly got the tension migraine. Like it starts in my shoulders and goes up. And that's usually a sign to me that shit's about to hit the fan. And I was like, I don't need to succumb to this. Like, this is not my responsibility. It's nothing to do with me. Even if they make it about me, it's nothing to do with me. It's like they need to project on anyone and usually it's going to be the people that they feel safe to project on. This is what I'm starting to realize. Like, they don't go after certain people because they know those people will bite back.
Yep.
Right. But it's the ones that are usually the ones that care the most that they bite the hardest, because they know they can. They know you won't turn your back, and they know you'll put up with their shit. And I'm number one put up with people's shit. Like I'm so terrible. Like, oh, put yourself in their shoes. I'm always doing that. And like today, I'm in the car right now in some freaking parking lot because my husband's like, just go. Like, don't be here for the drama. Just leave. And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go. So this thing might run out of batteries and I have to skip on to another device, but um I'm away from it all and it's really nice. And I'm like, shit, when Veronica and May were discussing about seeing people and having connections, is like I've been desiring that. I've actually also been desiring alone time.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
I love people and I love to be with people and I'm a quality time person. I'm not a party thing. Like that's not my jam. I'm like just a few people or one-on-one and
Mhm.
just even if there's no talking, just walking or just being in a beautiful place, like out in nature, or being in the library and looking at books, like whatever. I
Mhm.
crave that right now. I crave going to like small dive bars and listening to a upcoming band play,
Mhm.
and supporting some kind of local musicians or like a poetry meet or something. I'm also just craving like little adventures. Like I just want to get on a motorcycle and ride off somewhere and then camp and then draw and paint wherever. I don't know. I'm craving that right now in my life. And I did put a lot of things aside for my family. Um, and now I guess I'm in that stage of life where kids are growing up. And it was funny because my mother-in-law was like, "Oh, you're gonna be so sad when your eldest son moves out." I'm like, "No, I won't." She's like, "How could you?" I'm like, "I'd be proud of them. Like, I
Right?
would
Fly,
be
little
so
bird.
proud of them. Like, and if they have to, and they're like, "But what if they fail?" I'm like, "So, worst comes to worst, they move back."
Mhm.
uh, Great. I would love it. I actually, and I told my child, like, if you want to move out, that's fine. Know that we're always here and fuck around and find out. Like, make mistakes, try things out, like, whatever. And, um, I'm pretty good about, like, and this is only recent, by the way. I'm so terrible with unsolicited advice because I've done all the bad things and I know I was quite a rebel growing up. But I've come to a place of like, okay, you want to do this? That's cool. I love the fact that my kids tell me everything. I'm like, that's cool. Just gonna let you know from experience, this. Not saying that's gonna happen to you. Times are changing. I know everything's different. I know that you're probably way more educated than I was at your age about the world. Like kids these days know way more shit than we did when we were their age. Like they're way more emotionally intelligent than we ever were.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so I know there's that level like that I trust in them. And I was like, look, here are possibilities. I'm just going to be straight with you. And they all suck, but it won't end your life.
Right.
You will just have to adapt. So just consider if you do this, this is all things that can possibly happen. And yeah, just be wise about it. Like just really and sit with that. Like don't think about me and all that. Like think about you and your future and what are you comfortable taking a risk with, you know? And like to me, that's a really important assessment. Like even for myself now, that's something I really think about a lot when I take risks. They're more calculated risks now than when I was younger. And so I really trust my kids. Like they're actually quite smart and capable and very emotionally intelligent, so I'm not too worried about them. But I don't have that um codependence on them. And I think the reason why is I saw what it did to myself and my partner and how our parents live vicariously through us.
Yes.
And it was like your success means I was a good parent and it validates me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I need you to do what I perceive as that's successful so that I look good. So
Yep.
your form of success, let's say you're like, I don't know, a TikToker that makes millions of dollars. Okay, I'm just like throwing up like something they wouldn't think. They probably wouldn't be so happy about it, right? Because it doesn't make them look good. But then if you get PhDs and whatever. So I see what that not just what it did to us, but I see what it did to them.
Yeah.
So like totally throw all their eggs in the basket of like my happiness comes from these people. These people making me look good is what's going to determine my joy. And if these people can't make me look good or make me feel validated or make me feel needed, my life is shit. And I was like, I don't want to live like that. And when you start thinking that way, it's like kind of reverse thinking. Like, where is it stemming from?
Mhm.
It makes me think better about my boundaries because I didn't really get boundaries. I was like, oh, boundaries is like saying no to like going out when you're tired. And like, yeah, it is, but it is so more complex than that.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I can't talk English today, I'm sorry. But it's like a lot more complex than that. There's so much that goes into boundaries because a lot of boundaries for me is boundaries from my dumbass thinking.
Mhm.
Like stop fucking thinking that the way someone's acting is your fault.
Mhm. Yep.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
my
stop
goodness.
Yes.
stop thinking about the way they're reacting to you is your fault because it's not. That's a them thing. That's their fucking problem. It's not
Exactly.
yours. And
Yeah.
that's a boundary I have to work on. So it's me. I'm the bitch that I have to deal with, like more than anyone else. Like it's such a hard one. you
It
know?
is.
It's like get the hell out of my own way.
Yeah.
And so a lot of joy I didn't take because I felt like, oh, I'm not a good mom because I want to go out and do something with friends or
Mhm.
I want to have time for myself. I'd be perceived as a bad, who cares if you're perceived as a bad mom? Like whoever, and like the people I met in my life that just didn't give a shit and did stuff are the happiest people.
Mhm.
And their kids are fine.
You should get a
Right.
tattoo that says bad mom.
Yeah.
Lean into it.
I
Mom
love
of the
it.
year.
Yeah. No, seriously, like when you were talking about all that, I'm like, you are a healthy parent, And like
Yeah.
I think about that a lot because my kid's bio mom, I mean, like, I'm not a psychologist. We say this all the time here, but she is a narcissist.
Mhm.
Like she is. And she treated him his whole life like her substitute spouse, her best friend, an extension of her. And, like she gets really mad because it's like he doesn't talk to her really anymore or whatever. And it's like, she's like, this looks bad on me. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, because you're a shitty parent. Like, you know what I mean? Like sorry. you know, and, whereas my partner and I are like, do what you want to do because there's always time to fix it. And like my dad was very like, I don't think he was actually a narcissist, but he was very much like you were saying, Julia. It was like, I need you to go to college. Like I was the first person to go to college, and I did, and I dropped out, like, and I think like that was just awful. And then I got my federal job and then I quit my federal job. And my dad had like, I mean, I was like in my mid 20s and my dad had a conniption fit. Like, why are you quitting your federal job to go learn massage and be a massage therapist? I'm like, because my federal job is killing me. Like literally.
Yeah.
And, and I'm really glad like he and I got to a place where we had respect and that differentiation a lot more. But yeah, when I got out of high school, I just felt like I had no agency.
Mhm.
Like I wanted to join the Navy. I wanted to go like see the world. I wanted to go do things, but I was told I had to go to college. And I wanted to go to college eventually,
Mhm.
and I wasn't mature enough to go to college. And then I had my head injury and that made it even worse. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the kid who had everything easy, like all through regular school. And then you go to college and you're like, holy shit, this is actually work.
Mhm.
And I wasn't prepared for that,
Anyone
so
is at that age where you go to college. I'm like,
mhm.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't go to college until I was 21. I was supposed to go. I got accepted and did all the things, and I was supposed to move to a different town. And I was like, I'm not ready. And my parents, I think, were really ashamed about that. They told my entire family that I was doing school online.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
And I was just, and they told me, just tell people that you're doing school online.
Oh my
Because,
gosh.
and then I moved the fuck out.
Yeah, I don't blame
I
you.
moved out and, well, I guess I got kicked out, but yeah, I got kicked out, aka I moved out. And I got 3 jobs and I walked to work Sometimes I skateboarded. Yeah. And I did that for 3 years. And I think it was the best thing I could have done for myself because it made me grow up so fast and, paying bills, working, supporting yourself, not needing, getting away from the codependency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how I was conditioned to be.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to learn. It's still hard. It still impacts me today. But yeah, man, Julia, you're doing great. I
You
think
are.
I even told you, like when I was reading your natal chart at one point, I was like, there's this part in her chart where it was just like, she gives her family the freedom to express and to be and to explore. And I was like, like you would have been like, this is weird, but I wish you would have been my mom. Like,
Seriously though.
yeah, because my mom wasn't
Yeah.
like that at all. She was like, no, do life like this, be like this, do
Mhm.
this, go to college, which, I loved college. I'm all for education, but I
Mhm.
don't think that that is the only path.
No.
And sometimes most people aren't ready for it. I know I wasn't. I was a child. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
For sure. I mean, it's funny how parentified we all were and then like
Yeah.
still so immature. Like, and I think it really fucks with us because it's like I was taking care of my sister when I was like 6 or 7 and she was like 3 or 4, and
Yep.
it's like you think you're grown, and my dad was bitching to me about what an asshole my mom was and da da da, like unloading on me about all the things like totally inappropriate, you know what I mean? And then just like, so you think you're fucking grown up and you're not, you're so immature still. And it's like you have no idea because people like, I don't know, like people in my family treated me like an adult, like from the time I was little. And it really, I think, fucks with you.
Mhm.
And then, like, I think those of us from like blue collar working class families, they pin all of their like hope and pride on us. Like,
Yes.
you're going to go to school, you're going to make it, you're going to be successful. And then it's like the fucking reality that we're in is like, you can't be successful necessarily with just a bachelor's degree or whatever. Like, even when I started college, like in 1994, like that's kind of when it was starting, when it was like it just like the bar just kept moving for those of us who are like,
Mhm.
I mean, like I always call myself like kind of an exennial, because I feel very millennial, but I'm a Gen X, like technically. But it's like I think like the bar totally just kept moving for us
Yeah.
in a way that like our parents don't really get. I don't think they really get it, And yeah, there's a lot of people my age that did the traditional successful path, And I mean, I don't know. I think like some people would consider me successful now, even though I never did get my bachelor's degree and I tried twice, And but there's this weird thing where it's like I don't feel successful because I didn't fulfill those like I don't want to say obligations, but it was like I felt like when I got out of high school my path was laid out for me. Like I felt like I had to have a path, right? I was like, oh, I'm going to get my, bachelor's in psychology, and then I'm going to get my PhD, and then I'm going to be a counselor, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And I had it all like lined up, I'm going to have, 2.5 kids. And like,
Yeah.
none of that shit happened, and I feel like because I didn't do all that shit and I was a gifted child on top of it, so I just feel like most of my work has been some kind of service work, whether it's customer service or like, food service or whatever, massage, I consider a service industry. And, like, even though I, you know, do different type of work, like I work for, like I'm in civil service. So it's like I serve my country, right? So it's like I have this like gear of like service. And so it's like, can I be satisfied with the idea that I love what I do?
Yeah.
And, even though I feel poor, while on paper I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think like that's the fucky thing about capitalism too, is like it makes us keep like trying to hit that goal that keeps moving. Yeah. And we just are grinding and grinding and grinding. Yep. And it's like we never are successful. Like we and I don't know, I don't know, I have a lot on my mind lately. I guess I've been spending way too much time on social media while I recovered. So that's another boundary. I'm like, I'm gonna put my phone somewhere else and read a book or do something creative because it's like rotting my brain. But
Yeah.
yeah. Um I just really feel like it's just how do we like and the healing thing, right, too, like that's another thing in our culture, in our witchcraft culture especially. And like somebody, I think it was Michael Blackthorne, the deviant witch, posted this on Blue Sky, but it was basically like, yeah, shadow work is important, but like you can't be always doing that shit,
No.
and you can't be always
True.
chasing healing. And he was like, he was getting ready to do a healing session for a client, and he was like, what if we just accepted where we are right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and let ourselves be who we are and where we are? And and then I kind of wrote something in reply saying, like, yeah, it's always good to like work on yourself and grow and learn and like become more self-aware and all that stuff, but yeah, like when do you stop and let it integrate?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like when are you actually integrating the shadow? You
Yeah.
can't be integrating the shadow if you're constantly excavating,
Right.
Yeah.
Really what your ritual or our ritual did for me, that summer solstice ritual, because I was like, shit, joy. Am I having fun right now? Like, am I doing the things that I want? Am I, I'm focusing so much on like what I need to do instead of just like in this moment enjoying what I have right now. And that really helped kind of get rid of a lot of that fear. But it's also like it's so programmed into us too. It's like that's the capitalism. I need to work up to here. Or even like I think with mental illnesses or getting like diagnosed with something, right? Where it's like we're just consistently diagnoses are okay, but I think sometimes I feel like it's fucking with our younger generations because now it's like they're just looking for something that's wrong with them now. And now it's like, oh, well, I have this and this and this and this. So this is why I have this. And so I can't do this because I have this. And
Mhm.
it's like, how are we integrating now that knowledge to move forward in our healing instead of just kind of letting us stay stagnant there, which is
Mhm.
so hard.
Yeah,
Um,
for me, the diagnoses have always been at like, okay, cool, now I know what's going on. How do I cope with
right.
it? Or how do I learn from it? Or
Mhm.
how do I learn to live with it? Not how does it limit me?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's hard to get out of that mindset because I've done it myself where I'm like, oh, I have fibromyalgia. I can't do that. And I'm like, why? Why
Yeah.
am I
Yeah.
saying that to myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Definitely
I
a
think, oh,
thing.
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing with both mental, physical, spiritual, all of the things that we feel, because it just seems like there's always this goal that we're trying to reach, and then
Hmm.
something comes, and then you're like, oh no, I need to get to that goal. And then you have this like self-imposed goal that you have, and something comes in, like the health stuff or the mental thing or the spiritual thing that may happen, and then you just get thrown off, and now you're like, now I don't know what to do. Now that goal is out of sight, or I'm
Hmm.
set back so much. But you're right, like both of you are like saying how to integrate it. That's such a huge thing. That's something that I've been really um pushing to the forefront this year for me, even with my like spell of the year, is like stop self-imposing those things on myself,
Mm.
and learning to, I mean, I have, I've shared several times the last 5 years, like my health journey has just been wild. It's like, oh, this is fixed, but you also have this thing that we didn't know about. Well, this fixes
Hmm.
now. And that's why
Mhm.
you had this problem before that you didn't know about. Like, it's just that, always something. But I'm at the point where I'm like, I almost, I have the choice. Do I want to just like give up and then just be at this very unhappy part of my life, or do I want to figure out how I need to live my life? and have the strength to live with this thing and figure out how I can live with it in joy as well. Like some of the recent things that I have found out, which can potentially get better, but also can get worse or cannot happen at all, where there's some things that bring me joy that I may not ever be able to do again. And it's like, well, that really sucks, but I kind of have to figure out if I want to live safely in my life, how can I go about living and have the strength to get past the fact that I may not ever be able to do that thing again and be okay with it. Like that takes a lot of strength to get through a moment like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to like hold that boundary with yourself to be
Yes.
safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because like I know like, I mean, my situation is more temporary, but it's like I can tell like I've lost so much muscle from, just being in bed and, and I'm just like, and y'all know me, like I lift weights. I love like, like I lift heavy shit for fun. Like I always loved doing like the hay, when my dad and my sister were still alive and they had horses, like I loved throwing around the hay bales. And my sister was really strong too. Like we were both built like brick shit houses. But like, but it's just like, I know it'll come back like and but it's like I am really antsy, like chomping at the bit. My partner and my kid are like, we're going to the gym, and I'm like, yeah, fuck off, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like it's good for them, and I think like that's another good boundary too, is like when you're like, I can be happy for somebody else, right? Or I can accept my reality and accept that my reality is different from somebody else's. And I can't remember who said it. I want to say George Carlin, but like there's this saying, Veronica, that you made me think of where it's like, next time you think you're depressed, like just like make sure that you're actually depressed and you're not just surrounded by assholes.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think about that a lot because I think about how um and I think like Russ Harris talks about this in the happiness trap, which kind of goes in line with this like moving boundary, right? Like, okay, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when, and it's like that thing comes and you don't feel the happiness you expect. So then you chase the next thing. Like we talk about how like our culture is very geared towards like being happy, right? And like you just have to be pleasant or you have to keep going and you have to, and sometimes like you're having a reaction to like the thing that is happening. Like it's a good reaction. It's, and you're not depressed, you're sad because the world's on fire right now, and there's so many things that you feel like you should do. You're not a victim of burnout. You're just like, you're not keeping good energy hygiene with yourself because you're trying to do all the things. I mean, we have so many things right now, and those of us, I think all of us here on this podcast are activists in one way or another, right? And so it's like you see all these things happening. And, it goes back to what you were saying, Veronica. It's like, well, what can I do? Like, and sometimes all you can do is light a candle and pray, and I've gotten back into praying myself. Like I'm never, like, I've said before, wasn't raised Christian or anything. So praying was something I kind of had to learn to do as an adult. And I actually like, I haven't really been going to my altar as much, while I've been in recovery, but I have my altar in my home office. And, like I will throughout the day, like when I have a little break in my work or when I'm actually on a break or on lunch, like I go and I light some incense and I say a prayer, usually to Hecate or Kali, sometimes Mercury, sometimes Dionysus, sometimes Hanuman, sometimes Ganesh, like I have my, my posse, like, and but it's like I pray like several times a day now, and it's like become, I mean, like, and even when I had to do it lying in bed, like that's sometimes what you have to do with yourself is you have to say, like Nishida, you were saying, it's like you have to say, I can't do this, but what can I do? How do I adapt? because this is my life. Like I am accepting this, and like the acceptance and commitment therapy that the skills that I learned from that, like I've really been trying to put those into practice because I feel like it really matches up with my spiritual beliefs, like being mindful and being present, and making choices in line with my values, and if I have a value of independence, like I have to recognize that other people have independence, and I need to let them have their independence, right? And how do I sit with that discomfort when I feel like, oh, they're being quiet, they're mad at me. And like they might not even be mad at me. They might just be tired or thinking or spacing out. And I'm just like, oh my God, I've ruined the whole day, and I know like that comes from my trauma, 100%. But it's like, I have to sit with this discomfort because it's on them to tell me that they're upset with me.
Right.
Because maybe they don't want to make a thing of it. Like I know I've been there, like, like, yeah, I am upset with them, but I don't want them to know I'm upset with them. Like I need to just work through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I need to let them have that same thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
I wanted to speak to that. Yeah, reciprocity for sure. I wanted to speak to that because that's something that I was just discussing earlier. Like, try not to control people's emotions and being responsible for people's experiences and how they feel. And something I like that really pinged with me is that being a boundary of having to get out of your way of not trying to feel discomfort and not allowing other people to feel discomfort or joy, whichever, feeling emotions, okay? And I feel like in capitalism culture, and I'm like not against, selling things and stuff and purchasing.
Right.
Actually, I'm really big on that. But I just think capitalism is like to where it's at now is not healthy.
Yeah.
It's not reciprocal at all.
No, it's just
like
growth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very toxic. But one thing I will say is I think we've been trained for a very long time to ignore emotions because it's way more easier to control people that are numb. You're happy, just smile, pretend you're happy. And I'm saying this because I need to learn this. This is hard for me because I wasn't given that luxury as a kid. I think most of us weren't.
Right.
Like parentified person, my pain didn't exist. If you're someone with a uterus, you know what that's like. Your pain doesn't exist. You could be giving birth to a child, your pain doesn't exist. Move on.
Right.
You know,
Getting an IUD.
yeah, right.
Getting, oh yeah.
There's so much to that. And I think one of the big, and this is my form of activism, and it's hard, but my form of activism is allowing people, whether I like them or not, whether I agree with them or not, to have their emotions and sit there in it and let them have it. And especially with my kids. And that's so hard. I want to fix it. I want to tell them to calm down. Especially my daughter will be like, this hurts. And I know it's not something that's like crazy painful, but it hurts, and I'm just like, okay, well, let's just sit. And this hurts. And what can we do to distract you? Or do you need to just sit with this? Or is there anything I can bring to make it feel better? Or like my son is having a shit day. I'm like, wow, that really sucks. And I'll just sit there and I'm like, do you want a drink of something? Do you want to like talk about something? Do you want to watch something? Or do you want me to go? I always give options. And he's like, if he wants me to go, I'll go. I'm never going to just sit there and like force him to have me witness.
Right.
Because sometimes parents will do that, like, I'm scared, you're mad or upset and depressed. Like sometimes you do need to let them have that space, of course, like with reasonable, like if there's something that you can tell it's harmful, you have to be different. But that for me is a big form of activism, and I really make it my business to talk to people I don't agree with, and I let them tell me why I love like one-on-one in particular. If I can get someone who's like anti-abortion, okay, I want them to tell me about it and let them express their feelings about it. And like I'll listen for an hour with no judgment. And then I'll talk to them about like, oh, how do you feel if someone feels like this? Or how do you know, oh, I think my thing's about to die, but I'll do make it quick. But I really, even if we'll never see eye to eye,
Mhm.
I just want to show them that someone that disagrees with you can be someone who's supportive and
Mm.
give you space to think. And I think the more we make that a thing, the more that people will start feeling comfortable with expressing themselves and talking about feelings they have, because
Mhm.
maybe it's not even their own, it's what they grew up with and it's
Right.
legit, it's solid. But if we just shun it all the time, that's not going to fix anything.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Right? Like I hate it. I want to just hate them, but that's not going to fix it. Like
Right.
hate is what got us here in the first place,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
you know?
finding the parts, like the different parts
Yeah.
that can
Right.
Yeah.
this can
I
handle.
mean, of course, I'm a fucking white presenting person, so it's easy for me to do that. I would never encourage that on anyone that would put their life at risk. Like, logically, if you're someone you know, like how you present, it puts your life at risk, whether it's who you identify with or what you're born with, you have to be reasonable with that. But I do think, like, if you feel safe to do that, it's a great way, whether it's online or in person. Like, I don't know. I think it's such a cool, I mean, I just wish I could do it for more people, and I don't know how, but sometimes even I go online and let people have that conversation as much as it makes me internally cringe. Then I start asking them, like, where does it come from? Like, why do you have this feeling? How does it make you feel? Like, legit be a psychiatrist and just let them talk about it, because sometimes people don't know where this is coming from,
Mm-mm.
Right.
They've never
right?
examined it. Yeah.
That's so
No.
true.
And I think
Yeah.
like in our culture, we have this thing about changing your mind. Like you're not
Yeah.
supposed to change your mind. You're
Mhm.
supposed to dig in and
Yeah.
like double down. And it's like, and I think it's so sad,
Yeah.
because it's like, I don't know. I think like that's where a lot of the anti-intellectualism comes from
Yeah.
too. Because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you learn things and you learn somebody else's point of view, and it makes you question what you know and what you have been taught and what you grew up with. I mean, there's a lot of things that I grew up with that I've left behind, and
Yeah.
I grew up in a pretty like open and liberal family, but like still, there were a lot of little beliefs and biases and things like that that were just part of the environment that I grew up in. And it's like, and then I don't know. It's just interesting how just being exposed to other kinds of people can
Mhm.
really like open your heart and open your mind,
Mhm.
But it is really hard sometimes to not want to get somebody on your side, like and let them
Yes.
have that, like let them sit
Yeah.
there in their bigotry or whatever. But I also do believe like in bystander intervention too.
Yeah.
And like the way I always kind of like remind people, like, you don't bystander intervention doesn't mean jumping in and saving the person. Like if they
Yeah.
are handling the situation by themselves. But, like I always feel like this is something I had to learn the hard way. And it's a way that I always use my like white cis presenting hetero presenting privilege is like people will listen to somebody they think is like them over
Mhm.
somebody they think is different.
Yeah.
So that's how I use my privilege.
Yeah.
And just say, like you were saying, like, where does this come from? Have you thought about this? Like that's not cool to say, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, um, but yeah, that is hard. And I
It
commend you
is.
for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I
And
really,
there's a place for it, right? I don't want to say
Right.
like, oh, give everyone, like, if person's being a shit and
Yeah, fuck
harming
them.
someone else, like, I would never do that.
Mm-mm.
I would like step in with my white ass and like try to fucking intervene and like stay the fuck away. Like, I'll be nasty. But,
Yeah, I can go Karen if you need me to go Karen.
yeah, you need me to be Karen, I'll be Karen. But like, there's a time and place for everything. But, and if ever I'm in a situation where I feel like there's an opening,
Mm,
like, use it,
yeah.
you know? And I just think that this kind of conversations need to happen more in forums, whether it's podcasts or art or music, or like there needs to be more conversations about like what you're feeling and where is it coming from? And how do you feel about that? Because I bet a lot of people it's mainly fear.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate this conversation because this is exactly what I was going through. And it's what has held me captive from going out into community because I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I know who's safe?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
When am I gonna feel safe? And then I realized that like, oh, I feel safe in my own body. I am
Mhm.
safe in myself. And it is a risk, yes, but
Yeah.
it can become something so beautiful if I just let it. But if I stay here, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting in the fear and festering in it. And so, like, I think I really appreciated what you said, Julie, of just like digging into the emotions because I will say, y'all know I was having like nightmares for like an entire month about this like fear that I just was not addressing. I was
Yeah.
just kind of like swallowing it, and it is uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
Mhm.
really, really uncomfortable because it also like I think there are like shadowy parts of it too. Because it did bring up some shadow where it was like I was going into what you were saying earlier, May, of like projecting on to other people. Like I was angry at the people because I felt like they weren't doing anything, but it was like, what are they supposed to fucking do? And why am I putting these expectations on people? And
Right.
like, they're not doing anything wrong. What I'm feeling is like so much more inside of me, so much more internal that has more to do with me.
Mhm.
Somebody is mad at me or if they're not responding back to me has nothing to do with me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and everything to do with them. And everybody has their own life. And I can't be so possessive to how people react to things. And I think this was mostly from my parents.
Mm.
That's probably where this is mostly coming from because like I felt angry that they weren't angry,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that they didn't have a reaction. And that I was sad. I was angry that I was sad. They weren't. And so, but then when I just kind of dealt with that and was like, okay, it's okay to feel this. How can I change that? How can I feel safer? I'm gonna have to challenge myself to find community and find people because there are so many amazing people in this state of Maryland. Like I love Maryland. I love living here. And I'm putting myself in a box and I'm letting myself just kind of fester away. But
Mhm.
there are so many amazing people and opportunities. And like you said, Julia, when we do run into someone who disagrees with us, it is an opportunity. Is
Mhm.
it my responsibility? No.
No.
But how can I have that conversation to then conquer that fear that really is just like a monster and it's just a little kid inside who is just afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think those kinds of conversations help us see that we're people. You know what I mean? Like it humanizes. It's not
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm afraid of the other because now the other is this person in front of me that I'm having a conversation with,
right.
you
Yeah.
know? Like, I don't know. I'm gonna be like real for a second. I was actually just talking to Bill about this, my partner. Um, I live in a very white city. Portland is very non-diverse. I think they like to pretend that we are, but we're not. And when I started working in the union, like, and going to like national conferences and trainings and stuff, like elsewhere in the country, most of the leadership are Black folks. And I don't think I had ever been in like a room of Black people where I was like one of like three white people. You know what I mean? And like, I thought that was really cool because, I was going to be exposed to a culture and people that I hadn't really had the opportunity to be exposed to before. Do you know what I'm saying? And that was a gift. And to just be like two union activists and learning from each other and like I think Julia, you said, like it comes down to love. Like everything comes down to love. Like I tell you, I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast, or maybe it was just a conversation we were all having, but it's like, I think of like, even like these fuckers who are in charge of our country right now. And I think those people do not have the love that I have. And that love is strength. And I feel sorry for them. I feel fucking sorry for them because all the money that they amass in the world is not going to fill that hole in their heart that they don't even know it's missing, because they've never had it. They have to buy love.
Yeah.
And that just like breaks my heart. I mean, and I think about like, even as much as like I've had struggles with my parents, and like, they haven't always been there for me in the way that I wanted them to be or needed them to be. Like, at least, especially with my dad, I always felt loved. Like, even when we were fighting, even when we weren't seeing eye to eye, like I knew that at the end of it all, like we still loved each other, and I had my grandparents who loved me, and I had, what I mean? And I just like, I had, some abusive partners and spouses, and I just felt like I was always chasing their love. Like I always had to earn their love. I always had like, and I never met that goalpost, right? And then, my partner now, it's like, before he and I met, like I had gone through some like mental health treatment and stuff like that. And I made the decision, I was like, I am not ever going to chase love again. Like, I'm not going to do it. Like, if somebody doesn't love me freely, like they might be fun to like hang out with here and there, but I'm never like, it's not going to be a long-term thing. I'm not going to play that game, and how like people love bomb you right in the beginning, and then they turn into abusive assholes, right? So, Bill, my current partner, like is just a giver. And so like when we first got together, like he was like, let me spend this money on you. Let me take you out to this, seafood dinner. Let me take you on this vacation. And I was like terrified. And at one point he finally was like, I'm not trying to be like weird, but like you don't seem happy. Like I'm trying, like when I give, like, are you not happy with the gifts? Are you not happy with this? And I had to like kind of tell him, I'm like, I'm just traumatized. Like, like I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. Like I'm waiting for you to change.
Yeah.
And, we've been together for over 7 years now. And it's like, I still have those moments, not as much as I used to. But like, that was my boundary though. That was my boundary. I was like, I'm not, if somebody doesn't just love me, like if somebody makes me feel like I have to earn their love, if I'm like dreading that person coming home because they're going to find some fault with me, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And that is hard. It is hard because, you get lonely and you make bad choices when you're lonely, right? I mean, maybe not everybody, but I did. I did it a lot, way more than I would like to. And, and even like with my mom, like I'm kind of at that point now, like I'm just kind of like, I love you. And I have to accept that we are never going to have the relationship that I would like to have with you. Like you are never going to be there in the way that I need you to be there. And with this with this surgery I had, that really hit home. It really did. I hope she doesn't ever watch these. I don't think she will, but like, because it's just like, it's one of those things. I even said to Bill, I was like, should I even tell her like this is how I feel? And then it's just like, no, there's, I have to accept like she's not going to change. She is who she is.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, she's 70. She's not going to change, unless she has some kind of like wake up of like, oh, I'm alone and my kids don't talk to me, but I don't see her doing it. I see her going, I don't know why my kids don't talk to me, like, and yeah, it is a hard boundary to like just value yourself that much, to be like, I can love you from afar, but I'm not chasing your love. Like whatever you do, like that's on you. Like we were all saying, that's on you. Like however you feel. Like I don't know if you've all read the Four Agreements, but the hardest one for me is what other people think of me is none of my business.
Oof.
Yeah.
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 That one is so
I'm never
hard for
gonna
me
learn that
because I
one.
want so much to be loved and liked and
Yeah.
appreciated, you know, because I love and like and appreciate so many people so easily, you
Right.
know, like, and it like bothers me if I think somebody doesn't like me, you know, like, and I don't want to feel that way, like, because I feel like that's kind of immature, emotionally immature, right? Like to be like, oh, why doesn't everybody I meet like me, you know, like, but
Yeah.
it
Hard.
it
Well,
bothers me.
Yeah, it's kind of wild because the what you were saying, May, about like should I tell my mom this is how I feel? I had that conversation with my dad a few weeks ago, and I straight up said like I was like, I know you love me, but I don't feel like you see me. I
Mhm.
don't think you know who I am.
Yes.
And he was just like, I know who you are. And he went into the whole and like I was just like, and I kept saying, I don't feel seen by you. And I
Mm.
especially 1,000% have not felt seen by mom for the past 20 years. And he was like, oh, well, your mom loves you. And it's always going back to that whole like, and it was like, even though I told him and I was honest with him, I didn't get the result that I wanted.
Mhm.
And so I think after that conversation, I was just like, it's like you said, I just have to find the strength and the acceptance that I'm not going to get what I need from them. I have to give that to myself.
Mm.
Yeah, my mom reached out to me I think like last week, and she was just complaining. She had a recent surgery that just is kind of taking longer. She's kind of in that same spot. And she was just like, I'm just so mad and blah, 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 blah. And like, I think the old part of me would have just been like, either ignore her text or
mhm.
been like, oh, that sucks. Like, kind of been a bitch about it. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try the different path and I'm going to gentle parent. And I kind of went down that path of like, how are you feeling? Blah, 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 blah. And oh my gosh, her attitude just completely changed. And I was just like, I know this isn't my responsibility. I know that I don't have to fix this, but I'm going to try this a different way so that I can strengthen our relationship because the world is burning. I don't know what's going to happen. My parents are, my parents, and I I just have to accept that about them. And it actually went a really good way, like I was really happy with that. But sometimes even telling them, I think you won't get the results you want. You just have to find the acceptance for that. And that's where that strength card comes in, where it's just like, I just got to tame that little inner lion. That is like, my ego just wants to come out and be like, God damn it, see me.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So,
I know sometimes I very much feel like my mom's parent, you know, like she'll send me pictures of things she's done or drawn or like made, you know, because my mom's an amazing artist. I mean, there's a lot of things I admire about her.
yeah.
And it's like, you know, like here I am, like recovering from surgery, and she sends me like a text that's just like a picture of this thing that she made, and it is cool. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Good job. Like, but she doesn't say anything. She just sends me this picture, and I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, and by the way, I'm recovering okay. You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, not to
Yeah.
be like dramatic or whatever, make everything about me, but it's just kind of like, it just makes me wonder. It's like, does she not know how like is she going through some shit, like because I had this surgery and it's like making her feel feelings and she doesn't know how to deal with that, because that's totally valid,
Yeah.
you know. But like, yeah, and I think like Julia, you said it too, it's like, you know, I I will try to see the good or something good in just about everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's just one of my coping mechanisms or like, but it's like, and unfortunately, it's led to me making excuses for really shitty behavior, you know. But,
Mhm.
and a lot of people do that, right? It's like, oh, well, you know, he's abusive, but he had a traumatic childhood. Well, bitch, didn't we all, you know, like in some way, right? Like at some level.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like you said, you got to have that strength to just be like, is this something that I want to engage with? Is this something that I want? Is this a relationship that I want to preserve?
Yeah.
Is this a relationship that I want to preserve but keep at arm's length? And I
Yeah.
think that's my mom, right? Like, I love her, but I have to keep her because every time I let her in, I get hurt, right? So it's like she's got to stay in her little bubble that I put her in, right? Or I
Yeah.
have to put my little shield up, or
Yeah.
whichever, however you want to.
Boundaries.
Yeah, which is another boundary, right? Like I got to put up my like shields down, like
Yeah.
And like you were all I forgot which one of you were saying that earlier, but I think it was Veronica, and actually you were all probably saying this in some form. Sometimes, and we were saying this with our last episode, you are who you are, right? With all the things, the baggage, and some of us are going to constantly evolve, and some of us are going to constantly just get hit the wall over and over and over, and can't find a way around it or through it. They'll just keep hitting that wall. So some of us will get around it and some of us won't, and like that's just the sad reality of what life is. And some of us have the capacity to do it and some of us don't, and it's like, and then you got to decide, I is loving this person from afar better than from up close? Like, what kind of relationship can I have? And so, like, I have lots of family that, my own parents, where it's like it has to be from afar. I love them. I love them dearly, but I know that there's a lot that is just so painful, and it brings it back up, and then it's like, oh, and then I just want to like go back into bad habits of trying to fix things and like make things better for them. And I just have to understand, it's just like sometimes that's just not the case. And they're adults, they have the agency to do what they wish, and they chose that, and same as us, right? Like, we all have this one shot right now in this current life, and we all have to make our choices and live with it. So you're going to have to accept that whatever choice you make, people are either going to be on the side with you or not. And same with the others, right? So it's just kind of accepting that. And that's a hard thing to swallow. It's a hard pill. I'm not going to say it's easy. But it is something that I found for myself. The more I just accept that, the easier life becomes. And I start to understand why, like, narcissistic pieces of shit live so well because they're just in it for themselves. And I'm
Yeah, they
like,
so thought.
yeah, well, I mean, at the same time, they're miserable. Let's just face it. But um, in the moment when they're making their choices, they're not thinking about others, and it makes it a lot easier. So it's just, I get that. But yeah, I'm just saying that sometimes it's just coming with the understanding of like, you can understand someone's perspective, put yourself in their shoes. It doesn't mean you have to put up with it.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And it's painful
Yeah.
because you can have, like, I've said this before to someone, I have, like, with my stepdad, I love him so dearly, and I have so much amazing memories with him, but also very bad memories with him. And sometimes two things can be true, you know, and that's a really hard thing to reconcile with sometimes, because you're like, oh, but I want old dad. Like, I miss that.
Yeah.
But, I can only thing I can do is just remember those good things and cherish them for what they are. And that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I struggle with setting like a too strong of a boundary to where like I push people away.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. And so like that's kind of where the strength has kind of come in a little bit, where it's like, okay, I need to like really like get out into community. I need to get out of this introvertedness. And I want to define my introvertedness because I feel like it's different for everyone. Mine is like energetically. I love
Yeah.
people. I want to talk to people, especially like one-on-one, but it's like an energy thing. They're just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm getting a headache over here. So, but I love people, and I just, I think that I sometimes wonder because I did have to like set a strong boundary, like of a no contact with a friend.
Mhm.
And I wonder if I like overdid it that time. Like,
Yeah.
like just kind of going through some of the things I'm going through with like a friend right now and like having all these revelations and being like, oh my God, I actually really love this person. This is all this means is I love them and I'm feeling these things and it has nothing to do with them and it has nothing to do with me. We're good. Like, and I worked through all that. And then it made me reevaluate another friendship of like, when is the right time to say no contact? Obviously, if it gets like you're in an abusive relationship or violence or anything like that, but did I like overdo it this time? Or, I don't know. I've been contemplating that as well, where it's like, when do we know when it's too much of a boundary, or we're letting our fear once again lead and we're pushing the potential for a deeper connection.
Right.
Because I heard something the other day and it was like, it's funny how like strangers are always the ones that you like kind of get along with the most. And it's the people that you love the most that hurt you the most. And it's
Mhm.
because you love them. And it's like when they do something or make a mistake because they're not perfect, and neither am I, we take that to heart. But it's like those are the people that are going to hurt us the most.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something I've been contemplating.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you need the space to heal, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
sometimes you set up that hard boundary because you're like, I need to like just go be alone or
Yeah.
away from this person.
Yeah.
And to
And
grieve, like,
yeah,
Yeah.
is a big thing.
What your relationship used to be.
Hmm.
That's
because I
cool.
mean, relationships definitely evolve with people too, so
Right.
yeah.
Also, I like to say that, and this is just from knowing who I am as a person, I tend to I put a lot of myself into who I am with. That's why I don't have lots of friends, because I put everything. And the first sign for me to know when it's time to let go someone is every time I see them, I'm beat by the time I get home. Like I'm
Right.
so worn out. And every time I see them, I have the feeling of apprehension, or I feel like myself having to like try to manage the situation. Like if it's someone that just brings up a lot of that, like triggers that sense of like, I need to control the situation, or I need to manage their emotions, or I need to make sure walk on glass. Like usually that's a sign that this is just not a person energetically that's good for me. Like maybe they're not bad, but
Right.
maybe there's just something about them that brings out that side of me.
Mhm.
And some people, like, it's a you problem and you can fix it and you can reconcile that relationship. But if it's someone where no matter like how good you are and where you are as your like who you are as a person, and you still get those feelings, like it's a good sign that,
Right.
energetically it's not a good match. And like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all had the strength to go through that last year.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
that was a, a life and a thing that we love, and we had to put a boundary, and we knew it um, way before when we made decisions. It was just a thing we just kept, feeling. And then eventually it got to that point where we did have some time to have our own boundaries, especially the four of us together, and reflect and have the strength to do what we needed to do.
Yeah.
So that actually, I was gonna ask this question, and you all like kind of started answering it. There's actually a two-part. Like, how do you know when your boundary has been crossed? Like sometimes, because sometimes you don't even know it's a boundary, right? Until somebody crosses it, and then you're like, oh. And
Hmm.
then how do you how do you incorporate like witchcraft or magic in like creating good boundaries?
Mm.
I think for me, I know I talk about this a lot, but like just being present and having the awareness in my body and really dealing with like the my senses. And once I start feeling those are being impacted, then that's very quickly where I'll start to be like, okay, something's wrong. I may not catch what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's having those moments where I allow myself to be present and do the magic and the rituals and my whatever thing I want to do for my day to be present and enjoy my senses. And if something is off, then it's very much like, okay, something's off and I have to figure out what that is. And then I can start to reflect, which I do with like journaling or um, divination a lot of divination, just going through there and figuring out things, noticing patterns in my dreams that may connect with the divination, and just kind of linking all of those like magical things together for me, especially when it's something that I am not aware of. Because of course there's things in your daily life where you're like, this thing pisses me off every fucking day. You know, that's one thing. But when it's the other thing where you can't quite pin it just yet, and I feel like that's where it starts to come in for me. I'll start physically feeling it, but also magically use those interpretations to help with the physical as well, for me anyway.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a body thing. Julia, you were kind of talking about to you too, Nishida, like you were saying like you feel some type of way. I don't know, like I feel like
Yes.
I feel like the anxiousness of like I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like something that I can't stop thinking about. Like
Mhm.
all like
Yeah.
Mark will be talking to me, we'll have like a straight up conversation, and then I'm just thinking and ruminating about the conversation that I just had with this person. And it's just like I feel like I just feel antsy. I don't know how else to explain it. And I think it's also like when I'm around them, I question myself, like self-doubt, I think
Mhm.
it's something that I'm like, is I know that it's not a good person for me because if I'm feeling self-doubt, then they're disconnecting me from my own intuition in some way, whether they're aware of it or not, where it's like, okay, I'll talk about a situation with the ex-friend, but it's like I would talk about wanting to like pursue something and like stepping out of my comfort zone. And then it would be like, oh, but do you really want to do that? Or
Mhm.
like, do you know what I mean? Like it was just like, yeah, I don't think you should do that. That would make you look weird. Or like this would be that it was always just like discouraging me. And instead of being like encouraging or
Mhm.
kind of making me feel like insecure about it. And so then I'd be like, yeah, you know what? It is dumb. I don't know why I thought about that. And so
Yeah.
I think like self-doubt, um,
Mhm.
is something else that I feel. And then I think it's also like the divination tools are like I feel like pretty reflective of things, which I'm not the best at following divination tools sometimes. I'm like, maybe they're just like really upset and it has nothing to do with me. Like and so I'm like, it's okay. And then you just keep pulling the fucking Three of Swords and
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So
Cards are just not happy. They're just having
yeah,
a
I'm
day.
like, it'll be okay. But this must be broken. So yeah, I feel like that's usually something else that I try to pay attention to. But I feel like magic wise, I'm always like very like strategic in the
Mm.
way of like I always start with spells that are like not I don't like cast spells on them, but like everyone around me reveals the truth kind of thing, where it's like they're unable to like lie. They're like going to be a little bit more bold.
Mhm.
And it's like you can see if they have like bad intentions, you know, either with their words or whatever, or I'll do like hardcore protection and then like invite them over. And then if they're like, oh, I have a headache, and I'm like, bitch.
You're like, yep.
Bring out the eggs.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like it's always like protection against the people, the things, the energies that are not good for me. It's never like,
What makes you feel small?
yeah, exactly. And so those are little ways, little conniving ways, I guess, that I'm like doing magic in the background of like, is this person, because I think for me, I need a lot of validation to walk away from a relationship because I'm kind of in the same place as you, May. Like I just especially if it's someone that I've spent so much time with, I'm like, no, I need to make this work. And my seventh house is in Libra, so like I can really fall into the fucking codependency, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, like I think there was always a lot of like little boxes I need to check off before I like walk away from something. But it's a combination, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I
I
would
like
say that mine is, oh, sorry, you go, May.
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything. Go ahead.
Oh, um, I was gonna say that mine is very energetic based and awareness of my body.
Mm.
And I have this little thing I always do whenever I have a lot of like still working with like social anxiety issues that I have. Because I'm trying to learn not to mask as much. I mean, of course, there's certain situations where it's beneficial, like work situations, but just being around people that it's not a work relationship, I'm trying to learn not to mask because I'm trying to know, like, I'm making it my business, especially for the sake of my kids, to like normalize, neurodivergence and like let people see that it can be so different and colorful and no one's the same.
Yeah.
So I'm just making people aware of who I am. And I'm awkward. I'm very socially awkward. The newer,
Same.
I mean, if you look back at our first podcast, I was like super freaking out and talking too fast. I'm starting to get more comfortable, but I'm really awkward. And so I'm learning to let go of that. So whenever I have a situation where I have to be around people, I kind of do this little mantra spellish thing where I'm like, may my heart guide me, may my gut guide me and tell me, like my mind, what is truth. So I let my body tell me if it's okay or not. And if I'm around people, and I really feel like even if you're someone who doesn't believe in magic or you're not a witch or whatever, I think that's still a really good visual, like to tap into your body. And if something feels off, like you feel it in your belly, you feel like your tummy tells you so much, your gut tells you so much, you feel it in your heart, you get this weird feeling, your mind's kind of getting fuzzy, or
Mhm.
you're having a hard time to make decisions, that's a pretty good sign that something's off. If someone's making me uncomfortable, that's a big sign for me. And what I'll usually do is when I get home, I'll journal or I'll just sit and reflect and be like, is it a me being insecure and projecting what I think that person thinks of me? And
Mm.
I'm just going out of my way and like making it worse than it is, or is it that person is making me uncomfortable?
Mhm.
And then if I'm not sure, I'll give it another try. But if it keeps coming up and I realize it's not a me thing, then it's like, okay, this person just doesn't gel with me. And I have people like that in my life that I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable around, but I have to see them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I just learned that I don't need to let them in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're there. I can be nice, I can be respectful, but I don't need them to be a part of my life. And yeah, that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong. And I think that's we're so like we're and as once again I'm going to talk about society. Like I just feel like we're all taught to like, oh, we're kumbaya and everyone should be nice to everyone. Yes, everyone should be nice and respectful to everyone, but we don't all need to be friends. We
yeah.
Yeah.
don't all need to get along, and there
Mhm.
won't be fights if we're not forcing ourselves to get along with people that don't mesh.
Hmm.
If you just give them their space and you're respectful each other when you're around each other, but you don't need to engage in anything. You don't need to have conversations or
Hmm.
right. So it just that's like a big one for me. That would be probably like just having like reminding myself to tap into my body when I'm around new people or people that I've been having issues with for a while. I'm not sure if it's me or them. Like that's usually my big indicator. So
Hmm.
yeah.
I am very similar. Like for me, it's definitely like something I feel in my gut, like,
Mm.
and I will just find myself shutting down. Like I just shut down. Sometimes it's like a stone wall, and sometimes
Mm.
it's like a shrinking. It just kind of
Yeah.
depends. you know, and sometimes I don't even realize I've done it until somebody else points it out, or like it takes me a minute, you know, like to be like, oh my God, I was totally shrinking. And I am like, my go-to, like dealing with stress is fawning. Like I fawn, you know,
Oh yeah.
which you all probably saw like in our former community that we were a part of, you know. And then, you know, you start to realize like, you know, you make excuses or you say, well, yeah, this is bad, but this is worth it. And you kind of, you know, find yourself trying to explain away this person's bad behavior or like the way you feel around them, you know. And then like, I mean, like, I'm just like so good at making excuses for other people, and I don't do the same thing for myself. Right. So I've been trying to like do that gentle, like loving, like I'm trying to be like the loving caretaker for myself that I didn't really have. Right. And so I realized like I need to protect myself. Like I'm worthy of protection. Right. And
Oh,
so it took me a
Yeah.
long time to get there, like in our community that we were in, because there were things of value there, right? And there were also very abusive situations and slavery and um anyway, so like yeah, and sometimes it does take me a while to figure it out, because I'll just be like, why am I so tired? Why am I so grumpy? Why am I snapping at my family? Why do I feel drained every time I interact with this person? Why am I sick? Why am I, you know, and I'm learning to like recognize those symptoms earlier. Um, it's funny because like in that situation, like the beginning of the end for me was when we were doing our devotional cycle and I
Yeah.
was writing poetry, and my poetry just was like more and more angry and more and more, and I just like all the anger and resentment was like really coming out. And I really think Hecate was there with her torches to lead me out. And it did take me, I mean, like I was still there for a while and I got sucked back in, and I, you know, like in and out for a minute. But like, yeah, that at one point I'm just like, why are we bending over backwards to please this person who's never going to be happy?
Mm.
No. And then why am I here at all? You know, why am I even here? I, you know, and it just made me realize like that's a pattern for me, like to make excuses for people or to find the good or to find the reasons to stay. And like that's something that I want to be better about. And as far as magic goes, like yeah, I definitely like once I started writing those poems, I started actually like saying them like as prayers, you know. And through that poetry I really learned to love myself a lot more, and like realize that it's okay if a situation is not for me, it's okay if a position is not for me, it's okay, like I don't have to follow that capitalist notion of like climbing higher and higher, going through these different degrees, you know, going through these different certifications, going through these, you know, like killing myself to prove that I'm legitimate, right? And so I don't know if I've talked about this before, but like last December, I think it was, I can't remember if it was what full moon it was. I think I'm gonna say it was the Leo full moon. So I'm a ordained Dudist priest from like, you know, the Big Lebowski, you know, religion, right? The Dudism. So I'm ordained priest through there. And like they have, you know, how like they give honorary degrees, you know, like in churches and other religions. And so they do honorary degrees. So I made myself like a PhD in like metaphysical studies or something. And I'm like, look, I'm legitimate now. Like I have a fucking diploma, like, you know. And it was kind of like something that I, you know, was taking the piss, but at the same time I'm like, nah, you know, it made me think of like in the Wizard of Oz, right, when, you know, the wizard gets unmasked and then he's giving, you know, like everybody like these little tokens, right, like, and he goes to the scarecrow, and he's like, you have brains, like here's your diploma, like that proves that you are smart, you know, like you figure things out and stuff. And I just like made a whole like spell out of that to like kind of reclaim my power and reclaim my agency and like reclaim like my own self authority, you know what I mean? And I like made like, you know, I made talismans and stuff, you know, that kind of reinforced that. And I, you know, enchanted a ring that I have that I wear when I want to feel powerful. And I also like will wear different, like we all talked about this before, like I'm a total like perfume nerd, right? And I have like all these like weird little like boutique perfumes and like or and like I will like pick my scents, you know, like that go with like what I want to convey and how I want to be seen and like how I want to feel. And it's almost like I'm putting on like armor or I'm putting on a costume or whatever. And the same thing, like sometimes I'll wear makeup, like, you know, and I'll wear different types of makeup or different types of jewelry. And all of this, like, I mean, I'm a really big fan of glamour magic. Like, I want to do a whole episode on that eventually because I think like it's underrated, right? Because I think people think of it as like a feminine thing or whatever, but it's not. Like everybody puts on their costume. Like a business suit is a costume. You know what I mean? Like it's all drag, everything is drag. And so yeah, that's part of my magic. And then like just having good energy body hygiene, which is something that I'm not always great at, but I'm starting to incorporate more and more into like a regular practice, you know, and just kind of like, are there holes? Are there cords? You know, like I took this class from this, there's a school like a, that is like a, they teach like shamanism in Portland and, but they also teach like Tai Chi and like energy body work and stuff like that. And so I took this class and like their thing is like when you're an adult, you shouldn't have cords. Like cords are something that parents and children have, but like as an adult, like you shouldn't have cords. Like of course you have relationships with people, but they shouldn't have energy cords in you and you shouldn't have energy cords in them. And that kind of like blew my mind because like when I first started learning about like pranic healing and things like that when I was in massage school, like, you know, they were like, oh, you'll have cords to like your partner or your, you know, mom. And, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't really want people to have cords in me. Like, I don't want to be tethered to somebody. Like, I want to be my own person. I want them to be their own person, you know, like I value our individuality, right? And that was something I did have to sit with and like realize, like, is this for me? Is this belief for me? Because that's another boundary, right? Like, just because you take a class and they tell you something, like, you don't have to like take that in as your own, right? You can
not like gospel.
right. And yeah, but I really liked that. And so yeah, I kind of do like the little scan and I kind of do the little patchwork, you know, that I need to do, like reweaving and like, you know, bringing the energy down from, you know, the cosmos, which I see as Kali, like, you know, and then, you know, bringing energy up from the earth and just like letting it kind of join in me and just feeling like, you know, it weaves, right? Like in this kind of like shell, and the weave can be tight or the weave can be loose, right? And I like that idea, you know, that I can like do my little darning, right? Like, you know, like people like fix their socks or their jeans or whatever, right? Like with their little stitches, you
That's
know.
awesome.
Yeah. And so like you can fix these holes where people have like tried to attach to you and suck out your energy. Because I don't think people always know that they're doing it. I don't like, I mean, I know, I feel like in the new age community, it's like, oh, they're an energy vampire, or they're a terrible person. And it's like, okay, but they might not even realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, they may
We
not
could be
realize
doing
that
that.
they can find their
Why
own
human
energy.
design is so important.
I know. I wish I had the brain for it, man. It's like, it's so cool, but it's like so much. But yeah, so that's kind of like my practice. I mean, I have a lot of little practices like that, but sometimes I forget, you know, you forget and you feel down.
Oh
You
yeah.
feel,
Yeah.
you know, and you kind of forget that you have this power, right? Like, oh shit, yeah, I'm a witch. I can do something about this.
Right.
And it does take time to heal from those hurts. Like you can fix your little holes in your energy body, but you'll still like feel the hurt or you'll still feel the emotions or whatever that you feel.
Yeah.
you know, or you still feel that ambivalence of like, can I still have this person in my life, or do I need to skedaddle?
Love
Yeah.
never dies.
This is good, y'all. Before we do our cards, I forgot to ask you all. I wrote a poem. Can I share it?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
As we were talking, I'm like, yes, yes, this is exactly what I meant. Because as I was writing it, because I don't write poetry a whole lot, that's my bills like thing. But I don't know. I just woke up like super early one night and just started like writing things. And then as we're talking, I'm like, that's exactly what I meant to say it in the way that you guys are saying it. So I hope it makes sense. My no is a spell. My yes is a key. I guard the gate between others and me. My breath is my border. My body is my land. I choose who enters here with my heart in my hand. Being soft does not mean broken. Being quiet does not mean small. I listen, I am present, and I answer my own call. Flowing like water, swaying gently to the breeze, I balance my energies with power and with ease. Rooted like stone, flexible like a palm tree, my boundaries are my ritual, my strength is being me.
That's so awesome.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Oof.
Could you send me a copy of that later?
Yeah.
Is that really, that's a really, really
Please.
good one. That's like a spell in itself.
It is really good. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just as we were talking about like who we choose to like let enter that boundary based on the energies and um I wanted to tie the elements to it and everything too, but um just after we are talking, like the biggest thing that I feel like I'm getting with the strength is like our own thing. It's like our own thing to claim, like we're all using strength for ourselves. So I was like, that's exactly what I was trying to say because I was like, it sounds so cheesy, like my strength is being me, but like that's like what I mean is like
Mhm.
the strength that we have like comes from our own bodies, our own energies, and our own powers. So, um, and then the talking about like being soft or being quiet isn't like what makes me small. It's just there's a moment there where I'm trying to learn and to figure things out. And when we were talking about the way we use magic to kind of help us, so that like really like pinged for me on that part and being able to answer your own call and just being present and listening to yourself and being aware and knowing when you need that boundary and when you need the strength and everything. So,
I like that it ends in sovereignty.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to remind myself that I have the choice
Yes.
to walk away.
yeah.
And that's really powerful.
Hmm.
Mm.
That's
Also, the choice whether you make it your problem or not.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's so true.
That choice is something that like I've really been trying to embrace
Mm.
because like even when you feel like you don't have a choice, you still have a choice, you know, like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't do that, I'll lose my job. It's like, well, you could still do it and then you'll lose your job. Like it's just a consequence. Like, you know what I mean? You still have a choice.
Mm.
Like, what are you willing to live with?
Yes,
Mhm.
it's that risk.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean that's something like because it is really easy to feel disempowered, you know, for
Mm.
feel like obligated or to feel, I don't know. I get like sucked into the obligation really easily.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Signed up for this, so I gotta stay. Or
Capitalism.
yep. Exactly.
Go, Veronica.
Oh, I have to bring that
Speaking
in.
of which, I have something I want to share from the Rest Deck by Trisha Hersey.
Yeah.
So this is There Are Infinite Ways to Liberation.
Oh, nice.
Expand rest now.
Yes.
And then on the back, it says, oh, I got to take my glasses off. Open yourself to the ways you can find rest. Rest is anything that slows you down to allow for connection with your body and mind. Do not be limited by grind culture's narrow definition of what rest looks like. This card is an invitation for you to begin to unlearn and reimagine ways to rest. Repeat this to yourself. My body knows the way. I will listen to my body.
Mm, so good.
Wow.
I love that. There are infinite ways to liberation. Because yeah, that is so important. And again, with the activists, like I'm surrounded by activists, right? I mean, I feel like most people I know are activists in some way or another. And it's like people are like, I'm so burned out. I'm like, well, then fucking take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are other people working for this cause. They can keep working.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that the hard way too. I had to burn out before I figured it out, and I'm really trying not to get back there again. And they want us exhausted. They want us too tired to fight.
Joy.
And that's a form of activism on its own, like taking time for yourself, whether it's rest or have fun, like unplugging. That's a form of activism. Like, no, you don't deserve my attention 100% all day long.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to come in hard and then I'm going to rest, and it's just like, and how we fight the fight is going to look different for everyone. And that's what sovereignty is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's some power in saying, like, I don't give a fuck if you think I'm a bad mom.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if you think I'm lazy.
Yeah.
Like
I don't give a fuck if you think I'm a bitch.
right? Yeah, that's the hard one for me. Oh my God. Yeah, that word was weaponized against me so much. And that is a hard one for me.
It's
like,
hard.
Yep.
It is.
I've heard the brunette bitch thing for as long as I can remember.
You're like, I'm a good person. God damn it.
Mine is always, oh, she comes off as she's so nice, but she's really a bitch. It's like, no, I'm just a Capricorn and I'm honest. Okay. I said it nicely. You just didn't like it that day.
And I'm always like, no, I'm a Taurus. So if you've pissed me off, like I gave you 700 chances. Like,
Right.
it's not my fault you didn't pick up on them. Like, it's not my fault you persisted in being an asshole.
I'm a Capricorn in the Aries rising and I blow up bridges.
And I keep the receipts.
Yes.
People are like, you hold a grudge. I'm like, no, I just have evidence. Like, I'm like Sherlock fucking Holmes here. Like, I've got my binders. Like,
I got my trapper keeper.
exactly. I am not holding onto that grudge, but I have evidence that you're an asshole and you've been an
That's
asshole.
awesome. I'm so terrible because, like, I guess that's the Aquarius Mercury and Aquarius Moon and Pisces Sun is like, I forgot you existed. Like, I literally will. And they're like, hi, Julie. I'm like, who are you?
Just float in the ether.
Yeah, like, pissed me off enough. You don't exist
anymore.
You don't
exist me.
I wish I knew Bill's birth time because he is an Aquarius sun and he's very much like that, Julia. He's like I remember like when we first got together, he's like, why do you still talk to your exes? And I'm like, well, because some of them I lived with for like years, like they were a part of my life. Like I don't really care that much about them, but it's like, your life still intersects. And he's like, I would never even talk about my exes or care about them or think about them if I didn't have to, I'm just like,
yeah, it's just like, it's brain pruning. Like, I don't need that anymore.
Right.
Get rid of it.
And it's true. I mean, and I actually asked him the other day, I was like, am I the person you've lived with the longest? And he's like, yeah. I was like, because he doesn't talk about his exes. And I was like, I know he's been married twice, but it's like, I don't know who else has been in there in the mix. Like,
he probably doesn't anymore either.
Right. And I'm like, and this asshole and that fucking piece of shit.
Oh my gosh.
So funny. It's funny how people are different.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it interesting.
Right.
What card you got, Veronica?
Oh, so I pulled from the movie tarot deck. Or I didn't pull it. I wanted to share the strength card from the movie tarot deck. And I really love this version because it is actually Ripley from
Oh,
Alien.
That's so cool.
You see
I
the
love
alien
that.
there,
Yeah.
and yeah, she's got a badass gun. And I love it. I love it so much because like I feel like it really captures the strength card because the strength card to me is it's like there's such a like taming
Mm.
of the mat. It's like very nurturing in a lot of ways because it's so like internal. Like it's not like brute strength, right?
Yeah.
Internal strength.
It's like gentle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gentle. I feel like, we see Ripley as like someone that is very strong and courageous, but I also feel like there's like this very like nurturing gentleness about her too, like this mothering of her. And I don't know, I thought this was like the perfect, I don't know, for me right now, especially like with the state of the world, it's like like I'm having to fight these fucking aliens off. But at the same time, it's like having the strength to do it on your own, right?
Yeah.
Because she just like she did it all by herself.
Hmm.
Last one, she was the final girl, you know. And I think that just that's really what it's come down to is like working through the fears, like it really comes back to me and my own security in my own body. And it goes back to what Nishida's poem, it's like sovereignty, it's like the choice. I
Mhm.
have the choice to dissipate this fear by facing it. I have the choice to choose, connection versus isolating myself. I have the choice to, change my perspective around accepting my parents for who they are. And so that to me is true strength. So,
Mm.
It really takes a lot of strength to sit and like move through your discomfort, right? Or like allow your discomfort to be. I
mhm,
struggle with that so much. Like I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I need to fix it. And
mhm,
it's
Yeah.
this is just a thought. It's just a feeling. It's not who I am. It's going to change in 20 minutes, you know?
mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think that's the hard part is just sitting with it and letting it be. And like then deciding what do I do? Like, do I let it suck me in? Like, do I let this? Because I'm like, y'all, like, I have that. I love people. I actually really get energized by being around a lot of people. Like, I always thought I was an introvert, and I realized during the pandemic that I am an extrovert who has really bad social anxiety.
Mm.
Like it's in my chart.
Yeah.
and, and
Just
it's
take a look at
like,
my chart.
right. And it's like, do I move through that discomfort of social anxiety so that I can connect with people, which I really enjoy doing? Or do I let that social anxiety keep me at home?
Mhm,
And sometimes I do. And sometimes, because sometimes it's like, yeah, I don't have the energy to deal with this right now or whatever. And that's okay.
mhm.
But yeah, I love that. I do think it takes a lot of strength to just allow your feelings to be what they are and not.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Nishida,
have,
do you?
yes.
I
I
want to see your card because it's so pretty.
so pretty. It's the strength from the Darkwood Tarot. And I love it because it's like everything you all were just saying. Um, like my face.
So beautiful.
Having, the power to sit and just be present. And, because there's like this snake and she's just chilling, and it's like having the ability to have the restraints, but to also integrate what's going on. And then also just being like super present. Um,
Mm.
Something recent, I don't know if any of you all have seen, like, I really like David Blaine, like the magician.
Mhm.
He has like this show, and one of the recent episodes, he worked with a trainer who works with cobras. And the guy that works with the cobras, stands in front of them and leans over and kisses their head, like the top of their
Oh,
head, because he
wow.
works with them so much. And
Mhm.
it was like the hardest thing for David Blaine to do. Like he would freak out and like run away and just couldn't do it. And he learned that he had to be like super present and just get everything aligned, and like just the work he was doing to get up to it. I was like, that's like he's a magician. That's literally kind of feels like magic. And like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
getting yourself at that moment where you're so aligned that there's nothing that's going to throw the cobra off.
Mhm.
And so like looking at this card, like I said, that's the most like recent thing I can think of. And now like that people would have watched recently that I can think of that kind of reminds me of this. But yeah, just that having the control, the gentleness, and that even though something that can be like so soft looking can be so powerful.
Mhm.
So I just love this card so much. Every time I get it, I'm like, yes, I love this card.
I love the artwork in that deck so much.
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Beautiful.
I
Yeah.
like that card too because it's like what you're talking about speaks to patience, like strength
Yeah.
and patience. I feel like kind of go hand in hand if you're wanting to like tame something, right?
Mm.
And I think about how like, you know, like I mentioned, my family were horse people. I was not a horse person. They got their horses like after I moved out, so it was not like my thing. But like I personally never rode them enough to like get that like partnership, right? And like my family, like they really respected the horses like on their own terms, so like, oh, it's like, oh well, Thor's kind of an asshole, and oh, Monique is really sweet, and like, oh well, Nakie is like kind of skittish, but she's like a lot of fun, she really enjoys going out or whatever. And it's like they had like, and they just worked with the horses, right? And it makes me think of like that partnership. But
Mhm.
also like in that card specifically, like I feel like it also kind of like makes me think of what we're talking about when you're like sitting with your discomfort, right? Because
Mhm.
like she's sitting there and like here's this snake, right? And it's
Mhm.
like whatever she's feeling, she's sitting there with her feelings. She's not
Mhm.
Yeah.
acting on them. She's not like um forcing anything. She's just letting it be how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
think it does take strength to have that like reserve, right? And not just act on your impulse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That immediate emotional self, that inner child,
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
push someone away or to want to react or make it your fault.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
Mhm. Mm.
For me, the strength card is like, oh, sorry, were you gonna say
No, go
something,
ahead.
May?
No,
Okay.
go ahead.
I have this weird thing where I see people move. I'm like, oh, you're gonna talk?
Oh, I was,
Um,
but no, it's fine. I wait.
okay.
I talk a
Patience.
lot.
I just you always have the best things to say. I think for me, like that card, it's so much what you all already just said. And also strength for me is also being in that discomfort, letting it ride through, because I find if we try to persevere, because I think persevere is important, but it's how to persevere that
Mhm.
maybe we don't get right. And I think ignoring something and just pushing through to me is not perseverance. That's like running yourself ragged. Doesn't
Mhm.
benefit anyone.
Mhm.
Perseverance. Sorry, someone's got their music going on in the background.
It's all right. You're good.
Some bass lines or sound good though. Um, yeah. Perseverance for me is sitting in it no matter how uncomfortable it is, and taking a moment to be patient with that, like sit in that discomfort, let it ride through. Because sometimes it's like what May said, it's just a thought. And it can be a thought from many million things like triggers, your body trying to protect, whatever. Doesn't recognize a danger from a stress response. But sometimes it could be something. And you will never know what that is unless you just sit with it. And you sit with it enough, eventually you'll crack it, right? Um and then figuring out like having the strength to make a decision on what to do about it. Do you act upon it? Do you not act upon it? Is it something that is your responsibility or is it not? Because, like I was saying earlier, a lot of the times, a lot of our problem isn't our problem. We're making it our problem. We're
Mhm.
choosing it to be our problem. This person's annoying me. Is it really your problem or you're just choosing to let that be annoying? There's going to be dicks in the world and we're probably dicks and don't even realize it sometimes. It's just the way it is. And I just feel like, and then this is something that is work that I'm working on and definitely is where I feel like the strength card comes through for me. And I'm actually grateful for dealing with the situations I'm dealing with because it's helping me learn, like, hey, you know what? This person that I perceived to be a bitch because I made like selfish decisions. Well, you know what? They're living their life without regret and they're happy. Meanwhile, I'm taking on all the things that, like I'm taking on what I perceive as like I need to fix the situation, make someone happy when they're just not going to be happy for whatever reason it is. It's not my job,
Mhm.
and they're going to project shit on me and that's not my responsibility. And I'm starting to learn, like, is it really my problem or am I making it my problem? And most of the time I'm making it my problem. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's easier to make something your problem so you can have everyone like you.
Right.
Yep.
But then, like,
Or have the
are they really liking you?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Or you're just making them feel pleasant for a moment
Yeah.
Right.
and they're just tolerating you. Like, is that even worth your time? You know? So, like, for me, strength card is having the guts to be like, it's okay. They don't have to be fine with me. They don't have to like what I do. And often I find, like, and from personal experience, sometimes they like you better when you stop putting up with their shit.
Absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
my God,
Mhm.
absolutely.
That's
Right?
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
I was with that said, in the Marseille deck, the strength and the justice card are swapped. And I always find that really, really fascinating.
Mm.
Because if we think about the strength, if we don't act upon that strength, then we have to pay the consequences of the justice card. Something is imbalanced at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Relationship.
point. Mhm.
Like
Ooh, yeah. I don't think that was a mistake or
no.
like unintentional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you were saying, Veronica, like about the parenting, um, too, like it's like I've recognized that, like with my stepkids that I've had, because my ex-wife had kids, and then now my partner has a kid, and it's like sometimes I catch myself kind of going down that road, like where I'm acting like my parent, but I'll catch myself and then I'll fix it, right? And I'll do the thing, like I'll go, what did I need? What did I need in this moment?
Mhm.
And it also makes me think about how, like, a lot of the times in my life, like I've looked to external people to make me okay, right? To make me feel okay, to make me feel better. And it's like, and yeah, sometimes people do, but it's like, it's not their fucking responsibility. So, like, how do I soothe
Mhm.
myself? How do I care for myself? How do I, reparent myself? How do I be the person who protects me, or who cares about me, or who gives me the love that I need? And that is really hard because I think,
Mhm.
especially those of us who grew up socialized as female, it's like we are very much trained to take care of other people first. And then, there's never any time for yourself, right? And
Mhm.
then I also like think about how, like, Julia, you were talking about masking. And I love this book. It's called Belonging by Tokopa Turner. And like there's a couple of things that really stuck with me in this book. And one of them is like how sometimes people remove themselves from a group, like they self-select out. They're like, oh, I won't fit in with them. Like they don't even try. They're just sitting there on the steps by themselves, looking in the window, or whatever, like wishing they could be a part of the group, but it's like they're not trying to be a
I
part of
do
the
that.
group. Yeah. And and then the other part is like when you are yourself, right? When you are authentic and vulnerable and you are just who you are, like that gives other people the safety to be themselves around you. And it also helps you figure out who are the people for me and who are not the people for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not twisting yourself in knots to be a person that you're not, so that you have like this other person in your life, right? That doesn't even really like you or doesn't even know the real you. You're not even giving them the chance to like the real you because you're being somebody else. And when I was going through a lot of stuff, with like the union and everything, a few months ago, like the guy who used to be like the head of the department that my position falls under in the union, like sent me this message, and he said, one thing about you, and I want you to know that you have probably saved lives because you are such a safe person. Like, you allow people to be themselves around you. And a lot of people don't have that, and that really like stuck with me because it's not something I was trying to do. It's just me being me. But it did really make me feel good because I'd already read the book, right? Like, I was like, oh, I did the thing. And it does, I think that's another thing that really takes strength, and having good boundaries too, because you're like, I'm going to live my authenticity. I'm not going to waste the energy masking. I mean, and yes, we all have to mask in certain situations. Like, you have to put on your professional mask, or you have to put on whatever mask you need to put on to get through whatever it is. But like, when you're really trying to make authentic connections, it's hard sometimes to let yourself be yourself. And it does take strength, and it does take like a commitment to yourself to do that too. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
big ups to all three of you because all three of you I know did that for me. Like there were so many things where the three of you would say something that I was like, yeah, I want to say that too. And now I don't feel silly for wanting to say that.
Right.
And then I just felt comfortable to say it too. So, and there's many other scenarios, but that's just an example. So I appreciate you guys.
Aw,
I appreciate you all too.
I love you.
love you guys. It's a big love fest. I
I
love
was
the fact that
trying.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I love the fact that we can be uncertain about something with each other and just say it and be like, this could be totally wrong or awful, but you guys will just check me, put me in my place. And I love that. And I hope that everyone gets that opportunity with people because it's so freeing to just be vulnerable and be yourself. And it's okay, you know?
Yeah.
And it's okay to have a big heart. Because that's
Yeah.
also something that I've been kind of working through. It was actually the conversation that we had about me being a crab. And I was just like, holy shit. It's true. I'm like, I love people, and I'm trying to say love more and letting myself be vulnerable in that way and see my softer side. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome, you guys. This is a really great conversation. I'm really glad we had it, and I'm glad we had it at the time that we had it too.
Yeah. It's really
And I'm laughing because we said this was going to be a shorter
I know.
episode.
I told you it wouldn't be short. We're not capable.
I know. Halfway through, I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't say that." And in the spirit of boundaries, we're gonna make this a shorter episode. And I look at the time, I'm like, "That's all
You
right."
just knew. You knew.
All right. Well, with that, y'all.
Take care. Thank you for stopping by.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.